In this video, we're going to show you how to promote your beats, but got a little twist. We're going to be interviewing Adam, which is part of the duo Star.One. Star.One, aka brother Joe and Adam Wilson, stretches through the years right back to the childhood. Since 2014 and the release of their Elements mixtape, the pair have gone on to work with some of the UK's finest talent, including P Money, Big Nasty, Gets, Stormzy, DEE, Asher D, Malik Berry, and there's so much more.
1 year on since we linked up with DEE to make the best Christmas advert ever. Life was good back then.
But I must confess, this place ain't blessed. This place is a mess. Disgusting. This table's older than the pyramid. It's older? At least it's younger than the mirror is. This is very, 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 very unacceptable.
So guys, let's not waste any more time. Let's get on with interviewing Adam. So I've got the other half of Star.One. I've got Adam, and obviously his brother Joe can't make it today. So what we're going to do, if I can just ask you, Adam, could you just give us a little bit of background about yourselves?
Yeah, sure. So Star.One is me and my brother, and we make music and DJ, and basically we've been doing this for about 8 years. So I came into the game as a DJ. I left uni, I was at Manchester University, and I've been DJing at uni, and I kind of wanted to, I was like, you come to a stage like, what do I actually want to do with my life? And I was like, I actually want to take the music seriously. As a DJ, you need to be a producer as well.
Yes, people, how are we doing? Welcome to Star.One FM, the December edition, the Christmas special and the last show of 2020. Kicking you off with some brand new music from us, featuring Backroad G and Tribute Banks, This Way Part 2. Yes, people, how are we doing? Welcome to Star.One FM.
That's kind of like the thing, but luckily my brother was making beats. My brother at the time was a rapper. We had a crew and he was making beats for them. And I was like, can we just make beats together and try like a new kind of different sound and stuff? And that was basically how Star.One was formed. I went under the name Phase One. My brother went under the name Black Star Productions and merged for two. Okay. And then off we went, and that was like I think that was 2012. So first thing we ever did was like a remix of the Rasta Mouse theme tune. Got played on Radio 1, and then we had like a remix of a guy called Jamie Woon, his Lady Lark, and that got kind of like big in Ibiza. Some DJs picked it up. They had like 500,000 YouTube hits, and I was like, do you know what? This music game is really easy. Our first 2 tracks done. Radio 1 plays 500,000 on YouTube. We're getting all this. I was like, yeah, we're gonna be massive. And it came to like putting out our original music, and it kind of it went a different course. You have to build it up to where we are now. But basically, we try and merge black music and dance music together because we love all different types of music. I'll go from playing reggae to drum and bass to garage to hip hop to rap. So our style is a fusion of that. Garage especially is probably like the main thing that we kind of like focus on.
Okay.
But, we're still here 8 years later, just trying to work.
So it's not basically hip hop then. It's not grime or anything. It's literally garage is your main sort of genre that you guys feel more comfortable with.
Do you know what it is? It's I think it started from garage. So when I was first DJing, I was big into my UK hip hop and big into my garage. And Joe was like listening to garage tapes and stuff. And the first stuff we started making was garage. But like garage and grime always felt kind of like related. It was that kind of period of time, which I actually did one of my TikTok things about, where garage turned into grime and there was loads of MCs spitting on garage. And I actually feel, looking back at it now, we've always been trying to recreate that period, that like one period where garage and grime kind of formed.
Yes, yeah.
Yo, I've been waiting to do this one. Here's a little history on how garage evolved into grime.
What we done, that move there where we buried Page You Go, that to me was the beginning of grime.
At the turn of a millennium, UK garage ruled both the clublands and the charts with friendly, bubbly, vocal-led tunes and a focus on the DJ. However, 3 crews emerged who put the emphasis on the MC.
Page You Go, Heartless crew and Soul Solid. We really cared about MCs.
The lyrics from these MCs were inspired by the harsh realities of growing up in London.
We've all grown up with a negative attitude.
This was at odds to the friendly, bubbly nature of UK garage.
Some of the garage team were like shunned it a little bit, like, oh, it's a bit aggressive.
These new MCs needed a sound which was more suited to their vibe. Instrumentals such as Young Star's Pulse X and Wiley's Eskimo struck a chord.
boom, boom. That sound, there wasn't nothing like that sound before that.
A host of MCs, DJs and producers gravitated towards the sound, and fueled by pirate radio, it spread around the UK. Stars such as Dizzy Rascal managed to make the leap from radio sets to the charts.
The 2003 Mercury Music Prize is Dizzy Rascal.
At this point, the genre still did not have a set name. Eventually the term grime is what stuck, and it's become one of the most important genres in UK music history.
Our stuff. So like
that's your little niche then.
Yeah,
into that, yeah.
But like I say, we're inspired by all kind of music. So we're quite varied, you know. And some people say too varied. I guess sometimes why it's taken us so long to get to where we are is if we maybe stuck to drum bass or stuck to garage for years, we'd have built up a following in that scene. Whereas we kind of like jump. We'll put out a few garage tunes, a few grime tracks, drum bass tracks. So it's a little bit confusing. But I think now that we've slowly done this over the years, people kind of expect it from us, and like, you know, we've earned the right to do that, and so people will follow us in wherever we go now. So
cool.
It's interesting. Yeah.
So obviously we were speaking just before we came on camera, and I was asking you because I actually thought you guys were independent. I thought that you weren't signed, but you were telling me earlier that you guys are actually signed.
Yeah. So basically, no, throughout our career, we've kind of been in and out of deals. But so saying that, like I said, we've had 3 record deals, but we've only ever actually put out 4 tracks via major labels. The rest has been independent. So I guess we move independent. Like, and I feel like you kind of have to do that these days because, you know, you got to build yourself up. You got to know what you're doing. And you know, major labels, it's a system, but it's just like certain people. Like, you need a team to like really invest in you. So I mean, I don't mind talking about it. Our first record Our first record deal we signed was to Sony RCA, and that was back in, I think, 2016. And
it feels a long time ago, doesn't it? Now,
yeah, it seems like a while ago. Yeah, the thing is, when you sign, you feel like you made it. You feel like you're about to take over the world. And but then the reality of it was, we put out 1 track. It did really well, actually. Original Bad Man is a drum bass track with Assassin, Agent Sasco from Jamaica. Even with that,
did they find you? Did they kind of source you guys out, or is that something you actually went to them and tried to get a deal? Sorry to interrupt you there.
No worries. Do you know what? Visions. I don't know if you've heard of Visions. It's a club in Houston. Visions gave me the track and the deal. So I started DJing at Visions, and I became a resident DJ there. And what Visions was, it's like a hub of creatives. It was kind of everything. You had hipsters in there, you had the roadman in there, you had the gangsters in there, you had the creators, fashionistas. It was like a real bubble. It was a great mix. So I was DJing, and the person came on next, and I was like, "Oh, this guy called DJ B," and he's like, "Star.One." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, DJ B, nice to meet you." He's like, "Oh, wicked." He's like, "Oh, you should. I've been managing someone. I love your production. You should get in with some people." He got us in with a girl called Jessica Agombo, who'd actually just written the biggest track in the year of the year. Is in
wow.
I can't remember the name. Dynamite. It's
yeah.
So she wrote that, and it's like a K-pop. It's #1, the Billboard. Crazy. He was managing her at the time, so he wrote for her. And then he started working at his label. He's like, "Oh, have you got any tracks?" And I actually met a guy called Takura in the club as well. And he's a songwriter, big songwriter for Chasing Status. He's like, "I'll give you a top 40. Just get in the studio." Got in the studio the next week. He wrote us original Bad Man. Took it to Gary. Like, "This is amazing. Let me sign it." I was like, "Visions has got me a deal." Then we got Assassin on it, and then so we put that out, and it did well. We got like I think Major 1 playlist, 1 extra playlist. It didn't go top 40, so Takura lied, but I think it might be our biggest selling track.
Really?
Possibly. I think you check the actual metrics. And then, but then our A&R left that label. So then we were kind of signed to a label where no one knows who you are, because he brought us in. We were at the start of our career. So he kind of, brought us in, and the label didn't know anything about us. And then at that point, we parted ways. Then our next deal was with Freebeat, because they heard some of the music we've been making the last year. A track called OK, which had Afro, which was written by us and Afro B, and then we had Malik Berry on it and Shay Shay on it. So big up to the label, they paid for those features, and they sorted it out. And then we had a track called We Run the Show out with them as well, which had P Money and Asher D, which is one of my favorite videos we've ever done. But it came to an end when we came to like renegotiate the next stage of the deal, the money wasn't what we kind of wanted, so we kind of parted ways, and then went back to being independent. And we have been being independent for the last couple of years, and then it was up last year. Again, the same DJ B, Barry Burt. He kind of took us on and took us to Positiva, which is like the dance arm of Virgin EMI, or just EMI now because they had a split.
Yeah.
And it seems to be a perfect fit, if I'm honest. They because they get it. They've in the past released from Avicii to Shy FX, so they know kind of like what we're doing in terms of the merging of black music and dance music. And they kind of give us that really helped us. They sent us songs, got us in sessions, and it's taken a while, definitely taken a while to actually start releasing music. We signed the end of 2018, and let's track out. But we're finally there with them, and I'm excited to put out a bunch of music with them, man. So yeah,
fantastic. So you're not they're not putting any pressure on you to release a certain amount of tracks in a year or anything like that. They're quite easy on that.
Well, the deal we have is that, and music deals are set up differently these days in terms of you can get deals more suited to you. So in terms of Star.One, what we haven't done throughout the years is actually put out a lot of music in a year. Like we always have like 1 or 2 singles out, and in this current landscape, you need to be hitting people all the time. Your name needs to be everywhere, even if they're not even hearing the song. You need to know it's out and be, oh, you got that song out, haven't you? And all this kind of stuff, because there's so much music out there, but you just need to be relentless.
Exactly.
We knew that, and they kind of knew that. So our deal was kind of tailored towards that. So we kind of like had a deal where there's options, but the first thing is to put out like 5 singles in within a year kind of thing. So I think that will help. So hopefully we come back to me in like 7 months time. We'll see where we get to it. But we want to put out a lot of music next year. So
sure. Well, hopefully we'll get to that in a little while. We'll talk about your music because obviously it's quite extensive and you've worked with a lot of guys. What I would like to ask you, obviously, you guys are on social media at the moment. Are you actually on all the platforms, or the vast majority of the platforms on social media?
I think, Snapchat is the only one I don't really partake in.
Okay.
Too much.
It's not your demo, is it? I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, sometimes you need that demo, but and how I justify that to myself is I'm like, but most people on Snapchat do have Insta Story as well. They do have Instagram. That is true, but they do go to Snapchat more. But yeah, so Instagram is probably our main one. Twitter, TikTok, I'm loving. I love TikTok.
Sure.
And Clubhouse, I'm actually excited. I can see some real potential in Clubhouse.
So guys, what do you think of this so far? Would love for you to actually give us your opinions, leave a comment down below, and also if you like the content that you're hearing, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell notification. Each time we upload something, you guys will be the first ones to know.
And Facebook, do you know what? Facebook, I have I need to get back on Facebook because I spent quite a while building up that base, and now it just basically runs through our Instagram. But I actually need to go back in, start posting directly to Facebook, and maybe doing some ads on there because I'm like, missed. It's I don't log in it myself. I don't use Facebook myself anymore. But there are a lot of people that do, and the ads, you can be so specific with the ads that I need
to. Yeah.
I said it over the last couple weeks. Upload the This Way video to Facebook and put a bit of ad spend on it. That's what I need to do that soon. So
sure.
Yeah,
but what you're saying is you prefer Instagram, is that right?
I prefer Instagram, but I'm actually, I think, and semi-inspired by you and the kind of crazy Instagram algorithm, which has really limited our posts over the last 4 months. Our engagement has gone so far down. But and the obvious thing to say to that is that the content's not good enough. I think my content for the last 4 months has been really good, but
I can see that. Obviously, we're on your account now, and you post on there regularly, and you get a lot of engagement, mate.
No, the engagement's gone down.
It's gone down though, yeah.
I don't know. You can see 500 likes was what we used to be getting, and now we're on like 200, 300, or whatever. And why I say that in terms of I think the content is good is that on TikTok, that's saying, I've got 1,500 followers on TikTok, but they're getting some of the videos we're getting 40,000 views on.
Really?
Views on. So I'm like, okay.
It's like TikTok thing, because obviously we've touched on the Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, but Is it? Am I right in saying? Let me just put our faces back on here. It's just 1 minute, mate. So, am I right in saying that you use TikTok a lot? So you basically upload to TikTok, but you basically use the footage from that and spread it to the other social media platforms, because that's kind of what it looks like.
Correct. Yeah. So I like TikTok to editing. I like the way the quickness and the speed and the fun, also the funness of TikTok. Which what I say to everyone is that like TikTok, you're either on there to kind of be entertained or informed, or just kind of like just to laugh, and like it takes away some of the bullshit. I'm not so sorry if I'm not supposed to swear, but
no, it's right, no problem, no problem at all.
Of social media, because like Instagram is so pretty and curated, and like it's not real life. I feel like TikTok is just like, it's just a bit of a break. It's just a bit fun. It's just like, doesn't matter about this, that, and the other. So that's why I like it. I just felt it's a good kind of like spin on social media.
Sure.
And I like also the algorithm. Like I say, I haven't got that many followers on there, but I'm getting more views on TikTok than the places where I've got 15,000 followers on. So I just think it's a great app.
Okay. So what's your posting strategy then? I mean, obviously I recommend, I don't know if you've seen any of my previous tweets, that I recommend people be on as many, or musicians be on as many platforms as they can, but kind of focus on one. Because I think from what I can see in my observations, a lot of musicians kind of spread themselves too thin. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I always recommend to focus on one, but be on all of them. I mean, do you have an actual strategy for social media at all? Or is it just literally just posting on stuff whenever you can? Or how does that work, mate?
It goes in phases. So, and I know this isn't the way, there's a guy, I'm not sure if you've heard of him, called Yaz. He's like he's got a page called All About Helping. And
did you do a podcast with him before?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I was listening to it earlier this morning. Yeah.
And he's really good, like, similar to you, like just helping out artists, and he's always told me, like, document the process, so that you don't go cold.
Absolutely.
And it's a great advice, but it's quite hard to do, because when you're like, because I have kind of like two modes. I have like semi-promotion mode and like but when I'm in creative mode, like I'm in a zone, and it's like I don't want anything to take me out of that zone. So even like saying camera and all this kind of stuff. So it's hard to the process, basically, is what I'm trying to say. But so what I kind of do is I redocument the process.
Okay.
Making up beat videos. This is how I did this beat. Like, I go in and just like show you I did the drums, etc., etc. But in terms of like a process, it changes. So now I've just released a single, so I know I need to be active on socials to push it. So I'm posting to TikTok every day, even though the videos aren't getting major stuff. I'm posting to TikTok every day. I'm trying to make sure I tweet every day. I'm trying to post on Instagram. Most days, five times a week or something like that.
Yeah.
That I feel just needs to be kind of. And at the moment, I have a content schedule. I know what I'm posting, but that's not all the time. So like this like month, but I don't have anything for January, so I might go a bit quieter and all that kind of stuff. So like when you say, do I have a plan? The answer is sometimes.
Okay. So you've got a content schedule then. Is this like are you like a professional and got it on like an Excel sheet, or is it on a scrap piece of paper? How do you manage your social media posting then?
So actually, this is one thing I did. I stole from the label. So their digital guy did send out with like a content plan. I just stole what they their like table. So I stole their table and just did it myself. They're basically very, very simple, like day content. That's kind of it, Judge. It's just like you can do it on Excel or on Pages, Microsoft Word or wherever. So it's just like a table saying, this week I'm going to post X, Y, and Z, and then it just reminds you to make that content and kind of get it out. That's for the next 2 weeks I've got that, but that's not all the time. That's more like pre-release and after release, and then everything else is kind of on the fly. And even this is kind of on the fly in terms of like sometimes I think because you can schedule some stuff in, but I try to, but normally I just kind of like, Tuesday I need to post and find it and then do it.
So you're scheduling then. What do you use to schedule? What software are you using, mate?
I use on Twitter, but I don't really do it too much. It's TweetDeck, because you can.
Okay, at least you're honest. Yep, TweetDeck. Yeah.
And for Instagram, Later. I've got the Later app.
Okay. Yeah. I use both of those as well. Yeah. How are you finding Later?
It's good. I just, if I'm honest, I'm not using it as much as because what I feel like if you're doing it perfectly, I think you need to be on Instagram, maybe like
Yeah.
that before you post. Go on Instagram, put likes on people's photos, put some comments on, and then post up. So you're a bit like active that day, rather than it's like a cold post. So
Sure.
I don't like using later as much.
Sure.
But it is good just to like, yeah,
You like to be spontaneous.
yeah,
Yeah.
a little more, basically.
Sure, mate. So that's great. Let's get onto your music, because obviously that's why I've got you on here. You guys are just smashing it at the moment. Obviously, we're going to talk a little bit about what happened last year as well. Something big happened last year, but we'll get into that. Studio wise, are you working in a home studio, or do you actually hire a studio, and you know, how do you go about making your music?
So both, in essence.
Okay.
I'm in my loft now, and I basically sit and make beats from here. My brother, he has built, and my dad actually. My dad is an old musician. Well, was an old musician and still plays and still makes music. They built a studio in like our family home garage.
Okay. So they've got a studio in the home garage there, have they?
Yeah. And so my brother my brother doesn't live there, but he goes there most days, and so he has like, you know, that studio. And yeah, and I'm sitting in my loft making stuff, and then we basically send stuff on Dropbox quite a lot just to each other to work on. And then obviously if we're doing sessions, we mainly get a studio in London. So back in the day it was like Pirate Studios, because that was like the cheapest studio you could get.
Yeah, sure.
And now it's a bit more, depending on who the artist is, depending if a label are going to pay for it, we'll just get in sessions throughout London. Obviously this year that hasn't really happened. I've only had a couple of studio sessions, but that's like mainly what we do. We either set up a little camp and have like a studio for like 3 weeks a period and get loads of artists in, or just like ad hoc go to a studio with other artists. And
so do you work on ideas at home then? Is that mainly what you do at home?
Yeah, mainly ideas, beats. You can get beats ready, and obviously, yeah. I guess this is the thing. It's like it's transitioning from a beat maker to a producer, and you know, you can be a work from home and get cuts, but energy in the room is always better, and you know, and especially songwriting wise, I think it's a lot easier and to get something done in a day. So you have to have more sessions. So a lot of next year, like we've actually been talking about it recently, is like we need to get back in the sessions and do a lot more sessions, because this whole year literally just been where I am making beats, which is good, but hasn't been as productive this year. So actually, we're talking about it. We haven't had any cuts this year. Which is weird, but I think it's probably because we've been focusing on our artist project. Because this thing with Star.One, we have an artist project, and we have, you know, producing for other artists.
Were you DJing separately as well, going out to clubs and stuff, DJing, or was it you literally just produce now?
Well, obviously this year no DJing, but so what I would, our thing is DJing, production, and a kind of artist project. Those are the three things. So yeah, obviously DJ has taken a big hit this year, and the production side is actually taking a hit from us as we kind of like sorted out our artist project. But as that is nearly kind of like ready to go, we'll get back into more of the production stuff and get into studios and more songwriters.
Okay. Cool. So let's do some name dropping then. So who have you worked with, and obviously you could just touch on what you're working on at the moment, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. So mainly the artists we kind of like. No,
it's gonna be a long list as well, isn't it?
it's mainly grime artists. So DEE, P Money, G Fresh, Monique Berry, Shay, worked early with like Stormzy, Yizzy, worked with quite a lot. Masterpiece is an artist who's coming up, just blowing now. Temper T, the name, it goes on.
And you've got a track out at the moment with
track out at the moment. Oh yes, Push It. I like the mucking. So we linked up with Trinity Banks and Back Row G for a track called This Way Part 2. So we actually put out This Way. The story of that is last year I was in a very happy place. I was dotting around DJing at festivals over the summer, and you know, you're in Europe and you're hearing these kind of like very happy kind of like piano-led house tracks. I'm like, yeah, we need to make one of these. So we made This Way Part 1, which is like it's a house track, and it's like and we got Trinity Banks on it. But obviously we made that last year, but coming to it this year, we put it out. But you know, it was in July, and the world was in a very different place. The music we're making was very different. We weren't making that much happy music in inverted commas. So it didn't. Not that I didn't feel right putting that track out. I'm still proud of it. I think it's a great mix down, and it's a progression. But This Way Part 2 was a bit more like where we are at the moment in terms of the sounds a bit darker, and the MCs are coming through. So we kind of remixed it, got Back Row G on it. Trillery did another verse, and that's just come out a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, I'm happy how it's been received. It's been been getting a lot of radio spins and Spotify support. So it's a good way to kind of like end 2020 on a positive. It's like it's like, oh, I didn't know how well it would do because it's a darker sound, but I'm just happy that it's getting love.
So how did that all come about then? Because obviously there are many different ways to make music. Did you get in touch with those two artists first and say, look, guys, I've got a great beat that I want you to be on, or a great production I want you to be on, or do they approach you? How does that all work?
So yeah, so we have to go back to February, and so like I say, on the first This Way, which is more the houseier, happier sound.
Sure.
We needed, like I say, we always try and do kind of mixed dance music with black music. So we're like, oh, we want to get an MC on this, and I think a female MC, because the track had 2 female vocals already. It sampled Soul to Soul, Back to Life, and Stilo 702. I was like, oh, let's keep this with the girls. And Trillery was, you can see the potential in Trillery. She's an amazing artist, and
did you know her beforehand then?
So I didn't know her. I just literally just reached out to her. I just emailed her like, yo, I got this.
Really?
Track. Yeah, we got this track. Would you be interested in featuring on it? She's like, yeah, sounds great. And so then like a week later, she was in the studio, and again, we were in the studio. We did a lot of kind of like different takes, and because she thought we wanted like a slightly different vibe, we were like, no, we want like you, like this kind of thing. And anyway, we got there in the end. So that was cool. That was a real good session. And then, so like I say, and then just skip forward to later on in the year, it came to we wanted to actually. Yeah, this is it. Now I remember. There's going to be a drill remix, and so we made like a kind of like a draft of a drill beat, and Backroad actually recorded it over a drill beat. Like the beat he recorded over wasn't the beat that came out. But then we had we had a good chat with the label, and we're like, I don't think for something doesn't feel right about putting out a drill remix, and
okay.
Fair play to it, like on the marketing thing, but like we don't know how much it does for you, because like you're not drill producers in that sense. So for you to like jump on this sound like doesn't kind of make sense. But how about doing a garage remix where you can incorporate the more drill styles? And I was like, that's actually a sick idea. So that's what we did. So we built the track around Backroad's vocal, and that's why it fits so well, because we built it around his vocal. So it still has that drill influence, but it is very much a garage track. So we had that. And then we sent it to Trillery. She's like, no, Backroad came hard. I need to redo my verse. so she redid the verse, and then she smashed it. I was so happy she did, because it's just
absolutely, it's a fantastic track.
Yeah, so that's how it got, and then that's how it came out. So we made the beat around Backroad. Trillery added a second verse, and then got together. So the first time we were all together was actually the video shoot.
Seriously?
Yeah, the first time we were all together in the same
No
room.
way. So you basically did it in parts then, basically. So you obviously produced the track. Backroad, he basically did his part in another location. Is that right?
Yeah.
And then he did her part in another location separate.
Yeah, so he did it in his own studio, and like I say, he did it to another beat. Maybe we'll put out the original beat at some point. I think we'll strip it and then have as a beat that people can spit on and buy, etc. So yeah, it was all done kind of remotely, and then we all linked up at the video shoot, and then it was so sick to kind of like all link up and bring it together.
It's fantastic. So the because what a lot of producers do at the moment is they'll start following somebody they like, say for example an artist, and they'll just jump straight in there and ask them if they want to do a collaboration and stuff. Obviously, I try to teach people that's not the right way to do it. I'm assuming that you were quite a big fan of Trillery before that time, so it's taken time before February before you even asked her if she would, want to work with you. Is that how it worked?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of actually talking to you are very right. By the way, I think it is so true to not just like, even I get it sometimes like, yo, we want to collab. Who are you? but like, just like warm me up first. Like, I mean, so with Trillery, I think, not to blow our own trumpet a little bit, because we have a bit of stature.
Yeah, sure.
If you know who we are and we got to collab,
we're gonna get to that, don't worry. But yeah,
So, but yeah, I mean, I've been following Trinity for a while because she's been doing her thing for a while. But I think it's because her, big her up and a person to speak to. I think because her Instagram presence was so high. Because obviously there's a lot of girls who are getting good numbers, and she's got a few tracks with like 1 million views and stuff. But like she was just very active on socials, and I was like, when you come to thinking, oh, I need a female MC, obviously you kind of like go top down. You're not going to get Steph London. You're like, oh yeah, Trinity, yeah, cool.
Exactly, yeah.
So I think that was it, and I think we literally just reached out, and because Trinity is so cool, she's very open to like anything. And
really,
her team is good as well. Like that's the thing. Like they came back ASAP, and like it was like very, 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 very easy process to work with Trinity. And even still now, she's doing things like she doesn't need to go as hard for promo and stuff as she does. Do you know what I mean? She goes out of the way to push things, even on the video shoot and stuff. Like, it's been a joy to work for her, man. It's been good.
Fantastic. So, obviously, I know you guys have done a lot previously, and obviously you've been working with Trillery and Backroad G. Is that his name?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
How do you know Backroad G then? How did that come about regarding working with him?
Backroad G actually was through the label because this guy DJ B, Barry, who he was working with him already. Mm-hmm. So when we came to like do this at the start, a drill mix, he was like, we knew Backroad G anyway. He's been blowing this year, and it's so good to see his progression. But I think that I can get Backroad G, and we're like, well, that'd be amazing. And then he made it happen. So like that one was with him. That was his like relationships.
And the first time you met him again was on the video set. Is that right?
Yeah. That's
crazy.
Time. I know. Yeah. I mean, it can happen. But the thing is, I know it kind of like throws you or kind of. Listen, when you're working with someone, you've got to speak to him, engage with him, and that is very true because that's what we did at the start. So we used to, shoot your shot. That is the way, but I think there's a way to do it.
Exactly.
Like, don't just be like, "Yo, we want to collab," or like But if you're offering someone something and it can be of use, like I don't think there's anything wrong with shooting your shot. If we take it back a little bit, actually, to 2014,
yeah, sure.
We did a mixtape called Elements, and that was actually the first time we kind of produced for a lot of MCs. The first time we worked with D Double, first time we worked with P Money, Gets as well, and like the process of getting those artists on the tape was so different for each one. So P Money, we met in backstage at Glastonbury, started chatting. Kind of that was a personal relationship, and how that one happened. D Double, our manager randomly I think he DM'd him, or I can't remember. I was like, "Yo, I've got these beats. I think you'd be sick on them." He heard them, came to the studio the next day, like out of the blue. So we had to go through management. So there's different ways to get to the time. So like just use everything in your power. Always just use. I think is what I'm trying to say.
Sure. So would you recommend then, and this is kind of something that I recommend, is if you're going to do a collaboration, check their socials first to see if they're heavily engaged on social, because obviously if you're going to collab with someone that's not that sociable on social media, it's going to be quite difficult to obviously promote the track that you're on. Obviously you'll probably find that you're the person or you're the group that's going to do all the pushing and they're not doing so much. So is that something that you look at as well when you're going to do a collab?
Yes and no. I think the first thing. Do I look at it? I'm just trying to think. The first thing I always think about is from music is would they be sick on the track? That is the first thing. So like and a lot of things we've done musically, it needs to sound good. I think that's the first thing. It needs to sound good. And like something like look at Original Badman. Getting Assassin on that track was a personal thing. I know he'll sound sick on it, but then he did end up pushing the track, and we got access to his socials as well. So personally, I don't look at it socials first. I look at it kind of
what they're going to sound like on the track.
Yeah, that's the main thing. And then pushing it, I guess, would come after. I think for me, making the music always comes first, and then how you're going to push it comes after. So definitely helps if they've got a big following on social media.
Sure.
But for me, that comes kind of like secondary.
Okay. Cool. So obviously something big happened last year. You guys were selected and produced a certain person, DEE. That was the IKEA ad that came out. Was it November 2019? Was that about a year ago? Just over a year ago?
Yeah, it came out.
Yeah. So that was huge. Obviously, I'm sure that you guys were there and that just propelled you. If you can explain take us right back from the beginning of how that actually started to actually getting out as an advert on Ikea. If you can just, take us back, that'd be fantastic.
Sure. I think, so advert work and sync work, I'm actually going to do like a little podcast myself on this.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I think you should.
A Clubhouse. Are you on Clubhouse, by the way?
No.
Yeah, we'll get into that later. So yeah, when you get into the music industry, I don't think anyone ever gets into music going, I need to make music for adverts. But
yeah, it's nice if you can.
It's a gold mine. It's like a hidden gold mine of the industry, and we've been lucky enough that it is, to have to work on some great projects. I think the first project we ever worked on in sync-wise was the BBC Two idents.
Okay.
An ident is like, when the 2 comes up before a program, like this time Match of the Day, there's a 2 and a bit of music.
Yeah. You did music for that, did you?
We did music back for that's one of the first things we did. And again, it was like, wow, there's money in this. And then we didn't actually get it for a while, but have
you still got the footage for that, mate, as well? Because if you have, I'd love for you to send me that, because I'd like to do a bit of B-roll on that, actually.
I think so, yeah. I mean, it's not hip-hoppy grimy. It just
no, it doesn't need to be. It's just so I can show the people kind of what happens when you produce a track and it gets played.
Yeah, sure, man. I think I'm pretty sure I've got it somewhere.
If not, I'll have a look online. It might be online somewhere.
Yeah, I think there's actually, it's on YouTube. There's like some like sites where they archive all the idents. I never knew people that are interested in it, but yeah. So luckily, we've been just through a personal relationship on my brother's actually. A guy called Dave Bass, who works at he works at now a company called Wake Town. We've been managed to get into sync, so we've actually been working adverts for years now. We've done stuff for JD, stuff for Espresso, New Balance, loads, and it's like and National Lottery as well. So we've done a few. So
I didn't realize you did it for so many companies. I really didn't.
Well, this is the thing, because like it's not. It's like it's kind of like when people ask me what I do in music, I say I hustle in music, because I DJ and all this stuff, and it's a gold mine. It's mainly my brother's thing, so he's got that connection, but it can just it's not something that you necessarily put your name to, but again, going through the process of it, and again, it's a good money earner. It's allowed us to doing stuff like that allows us to focus on the other side of music. So like I always say, if you can get into it, definitely do. And a lot of people ask me how to get into it, and the answer is just like, it's a relationship. So this guy, he just like, if he sees a brief that is applicable to us, and he knows how versatile we are as producers, and he knows that my brother is like a genius in terms of mixing, in terms of like his speed that he can do things, because a lot of things with advert, it's like quick, like
it's quick.
We need to turn over tomorrow, and we need so like my brother can do that. He's honed his production skills over the last 15 years to be able to like bang quickly. He can do it. So when this one came about, what I always say about the sync and the advert world is we're a couple of years behind the sound. So obviously we've been doing all these music, and like say in 2018 we're making like trap beats, because in 2016 trap was what was big, and then a couple of years later trap becomes big in the advert kind of world.
Makes sense. Yeah.
You're seeing it now. There's so many grime adverts. We're kind of the first, and now this year there's so many grime syncs, and but grime isn't really popular that much at the moment. It's more of a drill sound, but like I say, they're a couple of years behind. But anyway, so last year it literally was like, oh guys, if you got any grime beats for a big advert, we just sent over. Didn't really know where it was at that time, so we sure. We have a beat pack, we have a sync pack of like hundreds of beats already lined up, just because I say it's about speed. So like if they need a beat, we're like bang, here you go. And they picked one of the beats, and then they explained the project to us after that, because I think the way it goes down is that obviously Ikea will say we need a Christmas advert and we want to make it different. Sure. They'll go to a advertising agency. Advertising agency will come up with the idea. So they've come up with the idea of, let's get a grime MC, let's do an old house, doing it up. We can make some toys speak, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, sure.
Better music, go to a music supervision company, who that's their job, to get music on stuff, and then so they came to us for beats. But I think they asked a lot of people for beats. I think but our beat, luckily, thank God, was the one that got chosen.
Yeah, very lucky.
Yeah, and then
I think, didn't it change you guys' life?
yeah, definitely, like yeah. And so I was actually like, the process is mad, though, because then they are like, oh, do you have this idea? Do you know any MCs? So we do know MCs. So we actually brought a few MCs in.
Right.
So I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but like there's other demos of that advert exist. There's about 4 other MCs who demoed that advert. But obviously, when D Double came in, it was instant.
1 year on since we linked up with DEE to make the best Christmas advert ever. Life was good back then.
But I must confess, this place ain't blessed. This place is a mess. Disgusting. This table's older than the pyramid. It's older? At least it's younger than the mirror is.
It's very, 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 very unacceptable.
Yeah,
Because
you just knew it.
You just know his voice, like it just fits so well. Like, yeah, it just the comedy he can bring without it being comical. I don't only double can do that.
And for today's challenge, we want you to write about who's influenced you musically and who we're bringing through today has influenced almost an entire generation. Please give it up for DEE. DEE is an OG in grime, and he's helped to shape the scene as we know it, and the reason why the likes of Dizzy Rascal, Skepta, and Kano do what they do. We thought he'd be the perfect guy to help us judge this challenge.
DEE. Are you mad? That's like one of our biggies, our Tupac, our Eazy-E's. Like those are the legends of like our industry.
Only like I think
it's very unique, though, isn't it?
Exactly. It's very. It just fit perfectly. And then there was some more drama from then. So after this, about halfway through the process, they're like, we're gonna need to change the beat because it doesn't quite work. It was too syncopated or something. There's a word, and I don't know really what the word meant, but anyway. And then and at one point, so halfway through this process, we were going to lose the advert in terms of like the beat was going to change, and we're just like, this is ridiculous. Like how no. So anyway, we made another beats. We made some more beats, and then they were like, it's quite funny. They pitched the beats, loads of new beats, but they didn't put that it was Star.One because they were obviously put the music supervision company were like, we can't take Star.One off this because they've done a lot of work on it. But like the other company was like, we need new beats. And so they pitched a beat, but they didn't put our name on it. And again, thank God, out of these 5 beats, they chose our one. So like, tried to get us off. We're back in. So yeah, I remember that being so stressful. But
I bet it was, yeah.
So then after that, the beat was changed. Again, we did some more sessions with D Double to finish it off. Yeah, man. And then it came out, and at the time, I didn't think it would have, because you go in the process step by step. I didn't think it would have the impact it did.
It was huge, wasn't it? It was a huge thing at that time.
I woke up late that day, like 11 a.m. I don't know why I was out at night for whatever. And then my phone was just going off, Twitter, everything. But no one, because I woke up late, I hadn't like posted about it. But even in the group chat, something like, have you seen this? I'm like, I did that. So it was really funny. Like it was a great moment.
Actually, I think it's actually in the music video. You guys were in the cupboard as well. Is that right?
Yeah. So
in his music video.
After that came after. They were like, yeah, we want a cameo. And I remember that day we were DJing. That day was mad. We were DJing at some event, and they had to like fly across to London to get to the cameo and then fly back. Like,
that's crazy,
funny, man. But big up D Double, man. Like such an honor to.
So I mean, that's just catapulted his career as well, isn't it? I mean, obviously he was quite big on the grime scene before, I believe.
He is like your favorite MC's favorite MC. He is like the greatest of all time, but like maybe never got to the heights, but he's the best.
He can get the recognition.
The best. But he is getting recognition now. He's his second album. This year he's done really well. So obviously the Ikea thing, he's put out an album this year. He put out like 4 singles from it, and the quality of the visuals, everything's been really high. So he's getting to that. He is the GOAT, but he's always been GOAT status, but I think it's just everyone is now realizing that in the wider audience as well.
So where was that recorded then? Obviously you came up with the production. Obviously I've seen some footage of him in the studio. Where was that actually recorded?
So that was in East London, and so Wake the Town, which is the kind of the company, the music supervision company, they're in a building, and they luckily next door to them in the building is a studio. I think I want to remember the name. I think it's a Nettle House in East London. And yeah, so they have a little deal. So went there, and we had a few sessions in there. So it kind of works out perfectly for the music supervision company to have this studio right next to them. So yeah, it was recorded in that studio.
That's brilliant. No, it's a great story though. Really, really great story. And have you worked with DWE again after that, or not?
We worked with him before, but we haven't actually done anything since. This year's just been
unusual.
It's like we talk about it all the time, and it's just this year's just been a bit weird. I think for us personally, that it's got to come from us. We've got to be like sending him beats and stuff. And like I say, this year, because we've been COVID and focus on the artist project, we haven't put the work in, and we haven't like developed our relationships with his artists. So 100%.
So I suppose he's getting lots of offers left, right. Anyway,
he's got his own producers. He's an in-demand guy. So 100% we're going to work with him again. It's just it's time. It's on us. Like, and today, even after this podcast, I should probably go send him some beats. That's the way it is. So, like, that it will happen. I guess actually, we have worked with him again because he just released Fresh and Clean 2020. So we have.
So regarding the royalty side of things, then how does that work? Do you, every time the ad is played, obviously you get a kickback, you get a royalty on that? Is that how it works?
Yeah, in essence, but it's not as much as you would think, because TV advert is different to radio. So
okay, if you could explain that, then that'd be great for the audience.
Yeah, as a major breakdown, when you're talking about royalties, you have two sides of royalties. In general, you have the publishing side and the mechanical side. So the mechanical side is selling music. So basically, these days, streaming music that generates one royalty, which get paid to you, and then the other one is songwriting. So anytime a music is played out in public, whether that be at a festival, at a pub, at a gig, that generates a publishing royalty, which the license holders will a pub pay a license to that, and then it gets distributed. And that's the same with radio. So you'd think, I thought, oh, millions of people are going to see this advert. So if I'm in my radio head, I'm like, oh well, on Radio 1 you get £70 a play or whatever.
Yeah,
it's be a crazy amount of royalties coming through. But advert world is different. I think like something like, you can't quote me, but
no, fine.
The way that it is paid to get on the TV, like a lot of the royalties have already been bought up. So basically, a lot of your royalties are going to be bought out in your kind of like production fee for it anyway. So you do get royalties, but it's very low. Like
are you saying then you get kind of like a payment up front for the production side of things, and then you get a small amount each time it is played, or
in essence, yeah. So I don't, and
because that's the big misconception in the industry, isn't it? That people think that you get lots of money every time it gets aired in your tracks playing, basically.
You do, but it's something about ads that it's a bit less. So, for example, with the BBC idents, we got generated a lot of royalties, and I don't know where. I think it might be because it's BBC. That there's something that when it's like a TV advert, and it's something about buying up the space where the royalties are lower. They're there. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, sure.
They're not as as prominent as the BBC Two idents or what you're gonna get from your track being played on Radio 1, for example. So they are there, and I'm not sure, and I don't know because I haven't checked the royalty statements. We have seen royalties from that track, but it's mainly the radio play. I'm not sure if the TV stuff has even come through. And a lot of times on our old kind of advert work, sometimes we're getting money from 2 years ago. So it might be that I'm wrong, and the royalty statement next year is looking it's not as
nice, mate. Nice big check coming through.
Yeah, hopefully. But at the moment, it's not as big. It's like I'm not making thousands of thousands of the advert.
I suppose from your point of view, it's the exposure, isn't it? Really.
And don't get me wrong, you get paid very nicely up front.
Yeah. So
it's that like I say, the sync world is it's a good one.
Were you signed at the time, or were you independent in last year, 2019?
We had literally just signed the deal.
Oh, really? So regarding the royalty payment, then it kind of had to be split between yourself and the record company?
No, I mean, if they wanted to sue us, they could. But basically, so I think with deals, our deal with Positiva, they know what they want from us in terms of like, yeah, we're going to put out these kind of 5 records. The rest is just like, we can still allow to produce for other artists. So this is what this was. We're producing for like another artist, another company. So they didn't touch it. I mean, officially they might be able to if they wanted to, but they just wouldn't. Like it would just be bad practice.
Yeah. Cool. But the way it happened though, you got an upfront payment and then royalties after.
Yeah. But the upfront payment was nice, and and we were lucky enough to have a good year last year in terms of, a lot we did a few other adverts as well, and that's kind of basically seen us through this year, because this year's obviously been a lot.
It's been bad, yeah. So give us a breakdown then, revenue wise. Obviously not in any major detail, but obviously a lot of musicians are quite up in arms at the moment regarding Spotify and how much they pay. Obviously you guys are really successful. You've got your music in multiple different places. How do you guys do on Spotify, or is it one of the ones of the streaming platforms that's quite low in the revenue that's coming in for you guys?
So, okay, well, I'll tell you what we are planning to do, and I'll tell you what I'll tell you what we were planning to do pre-COVID, and now we're changing to. So, where we saw our business model as Star.One was, we didn't really care about the streams as much. So we signed this deal with Positiva, and it was like it's a deal that worked for both parties in terms of like the main thing we wanted to do was to put out 5 tracks, and so to get them to do that, we it wasn't crazy money that we signed for. But our business model was that we're going to eat off the DJ bookings, so we're going to get these tracks out, the label will push them, put the money into it, and then we get our. Obviously, when you sign to a label, you're going to get a much lower royalty rate, so you want to get a big advance up front. But like our advance wasn't crazy, and but our thing was to kind of go eat off the DJ booking. So obviously that hasn't really happened. Because of the DJ
plans and all that.
Yeah, that's the thing. So like our stock has continued to go up, but it's been hard to monetize that. But like I say, luckily we had a great year last year, so it's seen us through. And so now moving forward, what I'm planning to do is more very personal kind of like relationship with fans. We built up our email list a lot this year by a few thousand. We've got built up a WhatsApp list, and what I'm hoping to do is kind of like create like a subscription-based type of model thing where people can buy into us. So we did like a bootleg season, and so all that stuff moving forward next year will be basically on the subscription thing, so where you can buy into us directly, and you can get different kind of things like, you get a remix a month or this, etc., etc., etc. So I'm going to try and build that up for next year, and obviously hopefully the DJ bookings come back as well.
Sure.
But I think
was the DJ side of things quite a large income for you then? It was.
Well, yeah. In essence, that our festival seasons are normally quite nice, and a few club bookings, and we went a bit quiet 2018 and 2019, sorry, but that was our plan for this year. It was basically release some music, put out all the content and stuff, have our stock grow, and then eat off the DJ bookings. So that was a big chunk of our revenue has gone.
But from the streaming platforms, there's not a lot of revenue coming for.
No, not really. Streaming platforms, because obviously a lot of the track music we put out has been via major labels, and so they take streaming. But a lot has been independent, and so the independent ones give us. So I think last year we had 1.9 million streams.
Wow!
Most of those streams are through either our remixes, which you get paid for. I don't see money from those streams because I've already been paid my remix fee.
Sure.
Obviously, some stuff with a label I've got to recoup before I see those streams, and then maybe I don't know, maybe 25% of it is from our independent releases where I do see the money from it. So there's money coming in, but it's not life changing.
No.
On the Spotify side, I'm kind of not a fan of Spotify, but when you can make it work for you, you can really make it work. So
you can get some decent exposure, can't you?
Some decent exposure and also some decent money because it extends the life of your songs. So take, I don't know, Original Badman, for example, or like all the tracks we're putting out in 2014. That year in sales, I might have, I don't know, say we sold, I think we used to sell like 5,000 copies of a track. Cool, I'll get 5,000 copies and then that year, and then basically no one ever really buys it again, and it's done. This way round, say Revolve Rhythm, I'm still seeing the same kind of amount of money I was seeing back then, 2 years later. Okay. So I'm kind of a fan. I just think it's a bit slower with the money.
Yeah.
It extends for life, and it's going to be there for a long while. I'm still going to see money coming in. So I'm more of actually a fan, but I do get if you can make it work for you, if you can get into on certain playlists and stuff, that's when it actually works. When you're just getting you're pushing to, say you got an audience of 1,000 people, and 1,000 people listen to your track, whereas before maybe, I don't know, 200 might have bought the track, maybe 1,000 people, 2,000 people stream it. That's money wise, you're going to get more money from 200 people buying a track than 2,000 people streaming it. So I do get it, but if you can make it work, then I actually think it can give you more money.
So have you guys actively done anything trying to get onto playlists and all that sort of thing in the past, or have you just literally just uploaded your tracks and just see what happens?
So yeah, obviously now, luckily, we have a team behind us whose job it is to get us on playlists. But in terms of when we're independent, two ways. One way is is like you just said, is you just kind of upload it, and then Spotify for artists have like an app where you can upload it and pick genres. What I actually did is back in the day, I figured out the Spotify email system. So and I emailed like 300, I don't know how many, exactly. I emailed a lot of people, all the editors from around the world to get us on. And I said, here's a track. Do you like it? Put it on your playlist. You can't do that anymore. I think they've changed it. Yeah. But that worked. That worked. I think OK, which is, I think, it's got nearly 2 million streams. A majority of those, like 1 million of those streams, have come from like some random South American playlists, which I just emailed the guy or girl and she put it on. And so I'm always thinking out the box about what I can do. I'll never just upload a track and expect it to be in a playlist. You've got to be working, whether that's finding the people, the editors on Twitter or Instagram, emails, whatever. You've got to push it. So that's the kind of stuff I do. But now Spotify have made it a bit easier. I have Spotify for Artists app, and you can kind of just upload and play this through there. But again, another things you can do is like, so for Bootleg Season, what I did is I created a gate where you can download our track, but you've got to go and follow us on Spotify, and you can save the track to your playlist and stuff. So you've got to do something. You can't just rely on people finding your music. There's so much music out there. You've got to push it in more kind of music.
So Alan, you guys got a quite a unique sound. It's not a sound that I would hear in other tracks. Where does that come from? I'm assuming obviously it's your past experience and history and stuff. But yeah, it's just a different sound that you guys come up with. Is that between the both of you? Is that you up in your loft there? Where does it come from?
I think our sound, So in terms of describing our sounds, it has changed over years, and like I say, we have so many influences, and I think this is the thing. It's a combination of everything, and it's quite scattered. Like I say, I can't listen to one genre of music. We physically can't make one genre of music. It's just boring. Like it's just so we always kind of try and merge it. So like at the moment, this kind of like this way I would say is a merge of garage and drill. But then so a couple of years ago, like the track OK, that was a mix of garage and Afro beats. Like we always have to try and mix it, do something a little bit different. And that comes from life influences. Come up, born in London, moved to Kent. Music our parents were listening to, music our friends were listening to from drum and bass, and going to uni was a big. Personally, like there's a nightclub called Merkage, and there's an artist called Merkage Dave. I'm not sure if you've heard of him, and he ran this night called Merkage, and the DJ. The guy called Dialogue, who I always like quote as like kind of being like an inspiration, is like he was mixing like hip hop with drum and bass, and I was like, this shouldn't work, but it worked. And that kind of fusion of genres of mixing grime with the trap stuff and everything, it's just like that's what excites me. So fact, we try and basically pull that into our music. So you're never going to get a track that just sounds like everything else out there. We always trying to mix it up. So like I say, if you take it back the original Badman, had to get Assassin on there to bring in like Jamaican flavor. With This Way Part 1, we had to have Trilly Banks on there. This Way Part 2, we had to have like a garagey drill style. We always like trying to mix it up. So I think, it's a blessing and a curse. And I think it's literally a thing that is semi holds us back, and it's semi the most exciting thing about us. Because like I say, it's harder to build like a loyal fan base. If I was just making bass house, for example, and put out bass house for 3 years, I'm going to build up that fan base quicker. But I think it will give us longevity in the long run as well. That's why we're still here. It's because we can merge and go with the time.
Absolutely, and it's so diverse as well, isn't it? What you guys do.
Yeah, man. So that's that. Yeah, like it's not something I plan on changing, but I do think you have to sometimes be a bit smart about it. And next year, with our releases, they are going to be all kind of like dance orientated. There's going to be some different stylings within that, but they are going to be like dance tracks where we can build up this fan base. And then I think Rudimental are a great example. They come from a pirate radio sound system culture. They blew on commercial drum and bass, but if you look what they're doing this year, they're putting out garage tracks, house tracks, they're doing whatever they want. They earned the right to do that. So I think we need like a moment next year where we kind of like get like a bit more commercial level, like a top 40 level type thing, and it will give us like, it will earn us that right to kind of like what we want. I just want to have a career where I can put out whatever music I want, and people will gravitate towards it. And so hopefully we get the success where people we're doing that in a micro kind of environment now, and we just need to make that into like a whole kind of the world, basically.
So let's talk about the mechanics of you producing a track then. Do you kind of are you like sitting in your room, getting an inspiration, and then you'll go onto the drum machine or you go onto the decks and do something? Or do you actually just start with maybe a drum beat and kind of build up from there? How do you actually construct your music?
It really does vary. So yeah, I don't have a set process, and talking to my brother as well, there's no set process because a lot of it is collaboration. But for me, it is like you said, you clicked a key word there. It's inspiration. I need something just to be a little bit inspired by it. So normally that's like a loop, or me just like playing something. Like there's a lot of artists and producers are using like splice and other kind of loop things, and sometimes that is really good just to spark a bit of inspiration. Or often it's like listening to a piece of music, going, "That's a great track. That vocal works," and like, "Oh, maybe we could do something like that." So it's getting that bit of inspiration. That's the most important thing. Once you have inspiration, it can lead you in different directions, but it's never like, "Oh, I'm gonna." Well, see, sometimes I do, because Machine is very quick to kind of get ideas with. That's like kind of the beat making thing. And sometimes if I feel like I need a test, I'll be like, okay, let's get a drum loop. Like I want to make garage today. And I'm gonna make a track, and as soon as like it stops flowing, I'll move on to the next one. And then you might make like 4 ideas. Like I did last night. I made 4 ideas in about 20 minutes, and then I'll come back to them, see what ones are good, send some to Joe, and he can work on it, his magic on it as well. But like it really does. It just depends. You just need like a bit of inspiration. If you're feeling inspired, you can kind of go anywhere you want. But sometimes you hear a bit of music or hear a loop which you think will work or something just to get that inspiration. I think that is the key. Is like they always had that thing. It's like, oh, if you're not inspired, you have to find inspiration, and you've got to keep motivated. This, that, and the other. And it's true. But sometimes what your music you're making is shit if you're not feeling it. So what I say is sometimes it's fine to not be inspired. Just try and go find something that will inspire you.
Absolutely.
But most key is when you are inspired, when you are in the zone, don't let anything pull you out. Get it in. Like because when you're in the zone, don't take the phone call. Sometimes I don't like go to the toilet or anything. I'm just like, because I know that might not hit me for another.
You might just you'll lose it.
I know that recently. It's been second lockdown. It's been a hard time. And actually, this is the great thing about collaboration, because like the last month, 6 weeks or so, I literally haven't been inspired. I haven't been able to make anything. But on the other side, my brother is killing it. He's got 10 beats this week. He's mad. And then literally the other day he's like, "Oh, I'm not in the mood to make music." And I was like, "Send me everything. I am feeling so inspired."
parts then? Or I mean, do you just work on the beats and he works on something else? I mean, how does that work?
So how I say it is, obviously when we first started making music together, I came in as a DJ and Joe was a producer. So I kind of knew I wasn't making the beats. I was just like, I think this would sound good. I think so I wasn't actually doing anything. But obviously 7-8 years on, I've kind of learned a few things. So now it's more of a collaboration. What I would say is like there's some tracks that come out where Joe has just basically made it all. But there won't be ever a track where I make it. It will always go through Joe because, like I say, I don't like mixing and the technical side of production. I like getting an idea. Like, this sounds sick. I love this vibe. I don't like to like tune a kick drum and EQ, all this kind of stuff. So like Joe's like a wizard at that. So everything will go through Joe. There's something that's like, oh, that sounds sick. Crack on. Like, do you know what I mean? And he'll put it out.
And did you say as well that you'll come up with an idea and then did you say you upload it to Dropbox? Did you say?
Yeah, Dropbox.
Right.
We have
he picks it up, downloads it, and then works on it.
Yeah, because we use the same software and all the same things. So I can just literally put a project file and I put it in. We literally did it the other day. I was like, I've got this idea. Because I felt inspired again. I was like, I've got this track. I think it's quite sick. Put it in the Dropbox. He's like, yeah, that's a vibe. I'm going to work on that today. And then by the end of the day, he sends me back like, he added layers, mixed it, this, that, and the other. You know what I mean?
Brilliant.
So,
yeah. I like that.
Yeah. It's just literally because we've got the same system. Upload to Dropbox. Bang, you can have it in 5 minutes and work on it, send it back.
And what software do you use?
We use Logic mainly.
Logic. Okay.
Yeah,
I think that's common, isn't it, amongst you producers? Logic.
Yeah, a lot of the young drill producers are using Fruity Loops, which is like so I think it's Logic, Ableton, and Fruity Loops. And the most simple they say is Fruity Loops, but I think you can get great sound off it. Especially those bass warps and drill sounds, you can get. That's really like a Fruity Loops type of sound, or what you can do in Logic. And then Ableton is like on the fly, you can drop things in quicker. Logic is like you can do a lot more, I think, with it, but it takes your head a bit more to get around it.
Okay.
All I've ever used. So I was thinking about maybe switching to another DAW just to kind of see if it sparks any productivity, but I haven't yet because Logic is the one really.
Cool. And do you still work from old school drum machines as well? Or?
Yeah, so like it's not an old school one. It's actually a new. It's Native Instruments. It's just like they make loads of sounds and loads of keyboards and stuff. They have a thing called Machine. It's MASCHINE, and it's kind of like a modern take on the MPCs. So like it's got loads of sounds logged in there, and it's a beat pad type thing, but you can hold a whole track off that. You can put chords on there, beats on there, drums on there, everything. So I usually use that to kind of do drums and even sometimes chords and playing around because they have like a system on it. So it's got 16 pads, but I can say I want to make a track in A minor. I can put it into A minor. So when I'm touching the pads, it's all playing in the same key. And I just find that sparks a little bit more creativity rather than just playing on the piano. It's a great. That's like our kind of like weapon of choice. It's definitely that.
And we haven't even really touched on mostly, which you guys are famous for, is the old remix scene. Because obviously you guys love doing your remixes, and I think it's probably you in particular. Is that right, or is it both of you? I'm not too sure, but that's kind of how I came across a lot of you guys, because you do a lot of remixes. You did a lot more a few years ago. I think you probably did more back then than you do now. Is that right?
Yeah, so we did. We definitely came from a background of remixing.
Sure.
Our original material, and then like last year was like, we do loads of remixes for like paid work for
yeah.
But we just kind of like, let's just put out bootlegs again, just like go back to how we started. So we did a thing called Bootleg Season last year, and then did it again this year. It was just basically like a week, for like 8 weeks. Every week we'll remix something, do a little video about it, and then put it up. So yeah, we're back on remixes, and yeah, no, it's both. It's definitely both of us. Again, this is the thing because me and my brother, like, I'm the one who's the face, and it's quite funny because a lot of people think that Star.One is one person.
Yeah, I know. You said that in your last podcast as well. It's we don't see much of you, brother, really, do we? So
yeah, he just doesn't like really being behind the camera speaking. It's quite funny because if you meet him in real life, you won't shut him up, but he just doesn't really like the kind of social media kind of side of it. So
it's fair enough.
take that on. So but, you'll see him. He'll be about in photos, but you won't see him kind of like speaking and presenting. And I enjoy the presenting kind of side of it as well. So it's just like, this is the thing, I guess. In another kind of situation, it could be like maybe like a conflict because I'm seen as the face, but it's my brother. Like, we're just kind of like complimenting each other, and if it's right for the brand, we just do it. Do you know what I mean? If I do it, it doesn't matter. Me doing this podcast, he's not going to care. Me doing that interview, he's not like going to care. Me doing the video, it's like, oh yeah, that video looks sick. Let's put it out. Do you know what I mean? So, it's just he prefers being in the studio making music, which is what a musician or a producer should be doing. With all this other stuff, is kind of, it's 2020 production in terms of like, 20 years ago you wouldn't need to do any of this stuff, but now it's kind of, you kind of need to build it into your kind of like business model, marketing model. So I'm happy to kind of like take that weight of it if it helps both of us.
Sure. So when you're looking to do a remix of something, then I think from listening from the podcast before, you mentioned something called a vocal rip. So what do you look for then? Do you look to see if there's like an instrumental, or so not instrumental, an a cappella of the actual track? So obviously you can kind of merge your production behind it, or do you have software to kind of extract the vocal from the actual track so you can then obviously sync it with the production that you've actually done? How do you normally do that?
Well, a little bit of both. So normally I'm looking for a track which is obviously will lend itself to a kind of like garagey type remix. So what I do both. What I do is get a track and I'll normally just speed it up to the kind of tempo-ish that I want it to work at. If it sounds good playing at that, I'm like, I know it's going to work.
Yeah, it's going to work.
So then after that, I will then, like you said, I rip the vocal from the track. So you can do that in two ways. You can do it with software in Logic, but you need to buy something, and it's a bit complicated. Joe sometimes does it. I can't bother to do it. There's a website called Phonic Mind, PHONIC.
Okay.
And pay, and it will do that for you in actually a better way. You can literally go out there. I think it's like £2 a track, something like that, and it will just rip the vocal from it and give you like a DIY a cappella, and then off you go. And you can just do your thing with it.
So do you kind of like, obviously there was the big battle last year with Stormzy. I believe you did a track on the they had some issues, didn't they, last year? This year or last year? No, it was this year, wasn't it? You did a remix.
Either I think it might be in the back end of last year or the start of this year. I'm gonna say the back end of last year, just about. But yeah, so what we did with that was there used to be a thing called War Report back in the day. So DJ Logan Starmer, who was a legendary grime DJ, used to be on Kiss, and there used to be always like beefs, like battling on pirate radios, and he'd do a war report and he'd take the songs and like play them up. And basically I did that with a modern day war report where we took the tracks, the sends that Wiley and Stormzy had sent for each other, stripped them with that vocal thing that I just said, and then made our own version. So like we made the war into like 2 minutes.
Yeah. And you came up with that pretty quickly as well, didn't you?
Yeah. That's the thing. It's just an idea. I was like, oh, it's a sick idea. Let's do it. Bang. So yeah, that's over Christmas. I think like we did that over kind of that Christmas period last year when we were in the studio together.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was over Christmas. Yeah.
So yeah, man. Yeah, that was fun to do. Like if any big kind of wars come out again, we might do it again. We basically remade another beat. So yeah, it was good.
So what do you do with that then? I mean, is that something you can upload to Spotify, the streaming services, or do you sell that privately? What's the idea behind it?
Though something like that, no, that's just basically for, I say, clout. It's just like a dub, really. But we have it on our
social
media, have it on our radio sets and all that kind of stuff. And we can play that. So yeah, you can't upload it because it would be an infringement of copyright. Yeah. With the remixes, again, we can't sell them. So what we did is with the bootlegs is we created a gate. So that if you want to download this track, you can, but you can also follow us on Spotify, etc., etc., etc. So we use it to kind of like boost our socials up, in essence. And we put it on Bandcamp, and a lot of people chose to buy the remixes. You can do pay to buy. You can choose if you want to buy it. So a lot of people did that, but mainly that's to build our audience. We do those remixes to grow our audience, and then try and sell them the music that we're actually putting out. It's a kind of like model, just to,
cool.
And also just a bit for fun. Like we like remixing tracks, so and making these videos. So it's like it's just a bit of fun, really.
Sure. All right then. So if obviously a lot of producers are watching this, a lot of upcoming producers are watching this, and obviously you've got a lot of respect in the community. If there were 3 things you could give advice on regarding producing, promoting their beats, trying to make it in the industry, really, I ask this to every guest that comes on. What 3 pieces of advice would you recommend? What would you give?
Yeah, it's a hard one because you're saying like certain community, we have built up a status, but sometimes I feel like we haven't made it yet either. And there's stuff that we can learn, and also
actually, it's good to feel that.
And there's a lot of stuff that we can learn from the younger producers. I don't know if you know, but there's a 12-year-old producer who just produced for Digga D, one of the biggest drill artists in the country at the moment. I'm like, wow, how did you do that? Because I think use social media. I think. And I don't need to tell upcoming producers how to use social media because they probably know it better than me.
Sure.
Even more. So use social media. Don't be, and when you're asking for, I think use everything that is available to you. So use social media, upload your beats. Use social media to holler at artists and get them out. There's a lot of producers. There's producer forums and like kind of like cliques on Instagram and Twitter. They just like, as soon as an artist posts, they're posting a beat, and I'm like, I love that hustle. So hustle. You got to hustle.
You got to hustle.
Yeah, number 1, hustle, because it's so hard now. Everybody is a producer these days.
Yeah, there's so many, and you can just do it in your bedroom, can't you, and produce a beat?
100%. So like the game has changed. Like there's thousands more, which is obviously more opportunities, but you're fighting a lot more, so you have to hustle. So that is on social media. And the thing that we haven't done is like using like the beat stars and all these like where you can buy those beats. Use all those beat stores. Use everything that is available to you. It's not kind of hard. And the second thing is like definitely try and get from being a producer to like not an artist, but like get in the session, get in the room. Because obviously it's great making all these beats, but you need to try and get in the room with these people. So again, you're probably going to start by doing that by social media and saying, can I come to the studio, hit them up, get your own studio, invite people around. And then I think that's very important, because if you do that, that's how you can create the personal relationships. And
is that kind of linked to the collaborations that we were talking about before? So try and get collaborations, but obviously don't just jump in. Obviously try and build a relationship first, comment on their posts, that sort of thing, and then get
100% all of that. Just and it links into social media. But like if you can get in the room with people, also I think collaborate, and I think a lot of the younger generation of producers are doing this, and something that we kind of didn't do is collaborating with other producers, because sometimes you're like, oh, I don't want to give away this beat or whatever. Like if you holler at the producers of the people, instead of hollering at the artists, if you holler at the producers who are making the beats for those people, you're more likely to get in. It's like, I've got this beat, I think it'll work great for Heady1. So, say to Heady1's producer, like, what do you think? You might be like, yeah, let's work on this together. That is probably a good way in, because, the collaboration, I think, is definitely key inside the producer community. I think that's the key. I think you've seen it a lot in America. I haven't seen it as much here, where it's like 4 producers on a track in a lot of these American tracks, a lot of the hip hop tracks. So I think that is the key, and that's actually something we've been trying to take on this year. We've actually collaborated with a lot more producers.
Okay.
So I think that collaboration, hustle, and just like, and also keep going, because like I think you got to separate the business side of it and making beats. So obviously make your beats, do what you want, and then like definitely dedicate some time a week to send out stuff and to try and create those relationships, because it's no good being one of the best producers but having your beats sitting on a hard drive. And on the flip side is don't send stuff out. Work on your craft, because a lot of these producers, some of them are good and they're posting out this, and I'm like, yeah, you're happy with people, but like that doesn't sound good. Like you got to, yes, it's that balance of like hustling, but make sure your fucking product is good first.
Get some feedback, some decent feedback. Yeah,
100%. But yeah, man, like it's like the game is open. The game is open, and and like I said, my cuts this year have been pretty much non-existent, and it's because I haven't basically done all the advice what I've just given.
Sure.
So I need to take that on for next year.
And what do you think about the branding as well, Adam? Because I think the reason why it works really well with you guys, obviously you're the front man of Star.One. If you're a producer, a lot of them, and this is kind of what I see a lot of, you generally find that the producers that are kind of hiding away, or they put a logo up and they don't show their face and stuff, I think it's a lot harder for them to get their branding across, to get the collaborations that we talked about. I think it's a lot harder for them to get that sort of thing if they're not actually similar to you guys, actually being in front of the camera, actually showing your personality. I think it's a lot harder for them to get collaborations, and I think it's harder for them to make it in this game if they don't come front of the camera. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both, because I feel like a lot of time the producer is the man behind. You don't need to know or traditionally you didn't need to know the producer's face, and a lot of that is still there. Not everyone is going, oh, who's the producer, but producer tags become really important. Sometimes you know the tag, but you don't know the person. So I think that is it's something for us. Why we are so out in front of camera and stuff is because we do focus on our artist projects as well. So I want to build up that rapport with fans and stuff. That we are artists. So if you're just focusing on production, I don't think it's essential to be in front of the camera, but I still think you have to put in the hustle. Say maybe it's a logo or your tag is sick. For example, that's some of the people who are, say for example, BK the producer. I don't know what he looks like, but he's getting loads of cuts, and I know his tag is everywhere. So it's not. I don't think it's essential to be in front of the camera. I think it helps, and you can a lot of these producers are doing like live streams on Twitch or Instagram, making beats and stuff, and you can do that. Put a cap on the stuff you want, but you need to engage this some way. Like whether that can be, like you say, just putting a camera, going on Instagram live, making a beat, posting up, having your tag, having beat videos and stuff. It doesn't need to be. If it's really not your thing, I don't think it's essential. But I do think it's kind of essential for the artist project. That's why we are so far out in camera. But yeah, I do. I think also Clubhouse is an interesting one, because there's a lot of networking going on in Clubhouse, and that's all audio. So no one knows your face. It's how you speak. So if you can speak well, that might be a platform for you where you don't need to be out in front of camera all the time, but you're speaking to people and networking. There's a lot of artists on there, a lot of producers on there, a lot of A&Rs on there. So work to your strengths. If like I say with Joe, we found a way, because he doesn't want to be in camera. I do. That's fine. But there's some other kind of producers that I kind of like help out in terms of social media, and I'm just like, listen, if you don't want to be on camera, like, fuck it, just get a sick logo, get a sick tag, but make sure you're putting the work in so that people see that tag and hear that tag and see that logo, and that can be your thing. So I'd say you can always find a way around it. You've got to play to your strengths, basically. Yeah.
So if you were coming up then, was there anything that you'd have done differently? With the knowledge that you have now, would you done anything different at all?
Yeah, yes and no. Obviously, I don't like to live life with regret, but I do think.
Sorry for the question. It's an interesting question. I like to get it in. So
yeah, no, 100%. If I did have all the knowledge I had now, I would definitely have moved. Yeah, I think we would have moved slightly differently, and I guess we would probably have had success quicker. But like I say, and it's just that hustle mentality. Yeah. We've always been making beats, but I don't think we completely nailed the business side of it in terms of like relationships with our artists, and being like taking that time to like send beats out or getting your beats online, all that kind of stuff. I think that is, we're still working on that now. A lot of our cuts, they come from being in the studios and in sessions, but you can create those sessions more as well. And like I say, now we've got a bit of clout, there's more that we can do, and collaborating with producers, I would have done that years ago. So definitely, I wouldn't have changed anything on my story, because I feel like this is my life, this is our journey, and I'm so happy where the place we are in now. But obviously, in hindsight, if you have knowledge, if you can find knowledge from other people who've done it, because we haven't never had really any mentors to kind of guide us through this process. So with podcasts, even this podcast, if you listen to me and any words have helped, and I'm so happy. But like, the information is out there now. Like, with YouTube, it's all out there.
It's all out there. Yeah, you're right.
So and yourself, following people yourself and getting the marketing on point. I feel like we've been a bit scattergun over the years, but it's led us to where we are now. And
and you've done so well. Yeah,
and there's no plan B. We're in this industry for like, I want this to be my career for 40 years. I don't really, having a 5-year blip or whatever it is, not even a blip, but taking a come up, which is a bit longer than maybe some. I'm fine to do that because we're going to be here till we're 60. So.
Nice. Glad to hear it. Just quickly as well, before we end the podcast, you touched upon email list earlier. Now, this is something that the vast majority of musicians don't do anything with, and I'm glad you brought it up. Actually, you know the importance, and you see the importance of building an email list, and I call it like an email list stroke fan base. How are you actually managing to do that? How you actually manage to grow your list, and how do you communicate with that list once you've actually started to grow it?
So mine has grown over the years. So I think it started on Bandcamp, because when people sign up, you can do like a free download, but they don't pay for it. But you can add an email address in, and then they give you like the breakdown of all those emails. So we've got a few thousand from there, and then, like I said, what I noticed this or last year, that like social media, it can come and go. Like you can with Facebook. I mean, I spent so long. I don't know how many followers I got, maybe 12,000 or something. Spent a long time getting those 12,000 followers, and like I said, now they're just sitting dormant, and that can happen again. That might be Instagram next year. That might be you don't know. But emails never really go, and also phone numbers never really go. So we just decided to kind of focus on that a bit more.
Fantastic.
So with the bootleg season, we ran it all through like an email thing where we got emails and Spotify followers, because I was like, well, Spotify, I can't see Spotify going anytime soon, so get the followers up on there and get the emails up, and then literally, so before, so we got a few up, and then we started doing WhatsApp as well. Just like our WhatsApp number is on like our bios and stuff.
All right, so you've got a WhatsApp number then, have you? And you
we've got a number. You can just WhatsApp us, and then we add you to a broadcast list and send it out.
So have you got a separate number? Obviously, it's not your own personal number, but you've got a separate number for WhatsApp.
It's a separate number, we just run it.
Quite smart. And do you get a lot from that? So, say for example, you've got a new track out. Actually, we didn't. To end off, obviously, we can talk about the latest track. But if you've got a new track out, do you literally just do a blast on WhatsApp just to tell guys that you've got a new track?
Yeah, so we started it with the bootleg. So we're like, we'll send you the bootleg to your phone. So every week we just sent that actual track directly on WhatsApp. Like, here's guys, a new bootleg, here's the video, and here's the track. And then now when we have releases, we just kind of do WhatsApp. We kind of basically only use for releases. I don't want to spam people too much on there.
Of course.
Personal phone. Emails. Again, we said we do every like 2 weeks. Haven't stuck to it, but
you're not the only one, so don't worry.
New Year's Evolution, all that. I think every 2 weeks is a good amount. I think people, because I think that's a good amount to be hitting someone up. I think because you've got to keep it kind of regular, so you're in people's faces, but you don't want to spam people too much that they don't check it. So I think because I get a lot of things I sign up for. They just literally email me every day, and I'm like, go away. But I just every 2 weeks I think is a kind of a good habit.
And do you send them to the I can't remember what you use. Is it Linktree that you use?
I think I've just taken off my Linktree because I've gone straight to the track at the moment, but normally Linktree is what we use.
Right, okay. So you send them to there, and then it's up to them whether they go to Spotify, to Apple Music, etc., etc.
Yeah, so the link, if you click the link that we've got at the moment for our new track, that is a something the label sets up, with like a home page for music. So the video will come up straight away. You can play that, or you go to Spotify, etc., etc. Normally, you would just have like bootleg downloads, check our latest mix, etc., etc. on my phone.
So it's this one here, isn't it?
That is like something the label was set up just for like.
Right, okay.
To maximize where people go in terms of singles, but normally because obviously we might have a mix out at the same time as a song out, so normally I use Linktree, but that's something slightly different.
Cool, good.
Similar though, similar to Linktree, man. Just need to,
So, is there anything else you want to discuss? Anything else you want to talk about at all, mate? If
more on like just to pick your brains a little bit in terms of
what you can. Yeah, no problem. Happy to give you any advice.
Yeah, because so Twitter is your main platform, and I've actually taken your strategy in terms of, I used to just kind of like not follow anyone on Twitter really, but now I've kind of taken a strategy to kind of like follow people and interact with them. I've seen the kind of the benefits of that on Twitter. But yeah, I just want to big you up basically and say I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
I haven't actually got any direct questions at the moment, but
have you built a Twitter list at all, or have you built Twitter lists?
No.
Okay. So yeah, let me just quickly go back to the screen here. So on the left hand side here, you've got lists.
Yeah.
And you can basically set up lists for different people. So say for example, there's artists that you want to work with. You can set up a list and put artists that you want to work with into that list. Mm-hmm. So as soon as you switch it on your computer in the morning, you can go to that list and then you can just heavily engage with them if you want to. You can set up a list if somebody retweets a lot of your tweets, for example, likes a lot of your stuff, comments on a lot of your stuff. You can set up different types of lists and go into them whenever you want. And the great thing about the lists is, I can't go into mine because obviously there's a lot of private stuff on there. So, but on the videos I've done on YouTube, I do go into how to build the list and etc. But yeah, you can basically just go into that every day and it allows you to engage heavily with the people you want to engage with at the time. Whereas what most people do is they go into like their home feed and they start engaging here. But it's far better. It's a much effective strategy, or a better strategy to actually jump into your list first, because that way then you're engaging with the people that you want to engage with and you want to have interaction with. Especially if you're talking collaborations as well. If you can leave a comprehensive comment on somebody's tweets every single day, they're going to get to know you pretty damn quick. Especially if they're great comments. Do you understand what I mean? Yeah. Whereas if you just work from your home feed, it's not as focused as you could be.
And also, I just see that I feel that I just see the same 100 people in my home feed, and I follow a lot of people, and they're not there.
Sure,
that's a great idea. I'm going to do that. I'm going to set up, people we want to work, like artists we want to work with, producers we want to collab with, and then
I mean, to be honest with you, from what I can see, you should go back to your account. From what I can see, your account, you're doing really well. I mean, again, what you're doing here, not a lot of people do. So if you've got a new track out, make sure that you change the header, which is what you've done. I don't know if that's something you gleaned from music that you were doing previously, or the labels told you to do that, but that's perfect. You've got some links in your bio, which is fantastic. You've got the pinned tweet with the MP4, which again, I tell everybody to try and do. Yeah. What a lot of artists do, Adam, is they kind of put like a YouTube link here or SoundCloud link, whatever. And what happens is, and especially for the young guys coming through, as soon as I land on your account, I want to hear your music. Yeah. And I don't really want to scroll too far because there's lots going on the internet. Whereas if I can literally hear your music straight away, obviously this is your latest one. If I like what I hear, I'm going to like it, I'm going to retweet it, and I'm probably going to start following you.
Yeah, of course.
But if I can't hear it straight away, and like I said, you're doing it brilliantly, I'm going to bounce basically.
Yeah. I think I'm definitely going to do a list and spend a bit of time on Twitter just to kind of build it up, because I feel like Twitter isn't going to go anywhere. Instagram, obviously, a lot of the changes that makes it look like Amazon now is a bit weird. But with Twitter, you can, like you say, you can have that direct kind of
and I mean, what I would do as well is, if I was another producer, say for example, I'm a producer, and we're kind of in the same genre, me and Star.One. What I would do is I'll literally just click into your followers, for example.
Yeah.
And I'd basically just go and follow the same people that are following you.
Right.
I'll put them into a separate list. I'll probably call them the Star.One list. Yeah. And I'll engage heavily with them, because the way it works logically is, if we're in the same genre of music if I'm in the same genre of music as you, then your fans will literally become my fans if I engage with them enough.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
You just literally follow them, put them on a list, and then just literally just kind of like just comment, all that kind of. Yeah,
exactly. And to be honest, if you do it consistently, you do it every single day, they'll get to know you, they'll start following you, and they want to check out your music as well. Do you know what I mean? So That's what I would do if I was a producer. I would literally I'd have maybe 10 producers that are in the same genre of music as me. I'd go. There's another thing you can do as well. I can literally click into your tweets and replies, for example.
Yeah.
So I can see who you've had engagement with.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'd follow those people, and I can also as well, mate. If I copy your account name and I put it into the search bar, and then I click on latest, I can then I can see the most recent conversations that you have been having with people, and I can actually jump in and leave a comment.
Yeah.
So if you tweeted 5 minutes ago, I'll basically leave a comment on your tweet, and it'll be a comprehensive comment, a really great comment, just to try and get some interest, and also get your followers to see that I'm commenting on your content. Cool. Then what happens is when our two followers, if we're following the same people, when they're going through the home feed, they'll actually see my comment just below your tweet.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So yeah. But other than that, you guys are doing a fantastic job anyway. But as producers, yeah, you definitely need to build a list of producers that are in the same genre of music as you and follow their followers. And also, I'll jump in here, for example, your latest tweet and go into your likes, for example, and I'd follow those as well.
Got you. Yeah, of course. Yeah, basically, yeah, I think the list thing and spending a bit more time with the followers, I think that is key. That's basically key.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need to spend hours on Twitter. It is literally just like a 10-15 minute hit. Just go into the list and just engage.
Yeah, 100%, man. Thank you for that, man. I appreciate it. Thank you for the
No, not a problem at all. And again, if we can just mention your latest track out, you've got one out with Trillion Banks and Back Road G.
Yeah, This Way Part 2 is out now. You can stream it everywhere. Literally go to our Twitter, Instagram, and all of that. And yeah, I hope you like it, man. Look out for some new music in the new year. It's coming very soon. I hope it's going to be a good one.
And what have you got lined up? What's next? What's next on the horizon for Star.One? What are you guys planning?
So yeah, we've got. I think the main thing for us this year, like we have to do, is just put out more music. So I think the next single is scheduled for February. I'm gonna say that we're gonna be trying to work with a lot more producers, and I'm really, really, really hoping the clubs will open soon so we can get back to DJing, because I'm missing that.
So you got a track coming out in February, did you say?
Yeah, that's the plan. I haven't actually decided what one it is. We just need to kind of like just choose what one. We've got a few tracks, so we're just gonna have to like choose which one and kind of get it out. So
is that a collaboration or?
That will be, yeah, it's gonna be a collaboration. There's two. We might have to get an extra feature on one. That's why I need to have a conversation first.
Yeah. No, I mean, you don't need to say the names, but yeah, but February, that's a good time to really
give a bit of time off in January. Give us a couple of weeks to kind of like get the mix down, all that kind of sorted out, and stick to a timeline.
Would you? I don't know if it's something you'd have to do with the label, but could you bring something out like a package of all of your tracks, like your greatest hits, I suppose, and kind of bundle that? Is that something that they would ever consider, or you'd consider?
Do you know what? Yeah, it's a good idea. I mean, I guess probably kind of issue it could be is because we release on so many different labels, but maybe actually, do you know what? It could be like a good. Do you know what? I think I might do that. I feel like once we have a few tracks out, it's an idea we've had, kind of like watch our journey, so like so people can learn from it. This is what we did to get here. So like once we've had like, not that we've had a hit or whatever, but like once I feel we've had something, I think to release it after that might be a good
thing. Sure. Or even like unpublished stuff that hasn't been published, you can obviously package that up.
I was actually thinking about doing a new kind of like little social media, like a TikTok thing. It was like unfinished tracks, and like do I bin it or do I finish it? And then that's just because we've got so many that I'm like, just want to hear some kind of opinion. So I might look out for that on a TikTok coming to you soon.
I'll tell you what does work for me as a person that consumes music. I like to see the behind the scenes stuff. I like it when you're tapping away on your drum machine. I like to see all of that. So this is not just for you, just for any producer out there. I like to see you making your music, whether you do it at the time that you're actually producing the music or you do it after. That's, as a fan, that's what we like to see.
Definitely. More behind the scenes content coming soon.
All right, fantastic. Yeah, no, brilliant. And are you doing any more little documentary type things, or are you going to kind of
No, I definitely am. I love doing them. Do you know what? It's a bit. They are semi-time consuming because I like to get them right.
There's a lot of editing.
Yeah, it's do you know what? The editing's not. Now that I've kind of got the editing process down, that's not the hardest way. It does take. It's actually watching all the other documentaries because I need to know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to come up to you and just like spur out rubbish or whatever. So
Yeah, sure.
I watch about 3 or 4 documentaries to then make mine, and I haven't had the time in the last couple of weeks to kind of like, I'm doing bassline next, I'm going to do UK funky, and then I think that will take, and then I'll do drill, and then that will take me up, and then after that I want to take it worldwide. But yeah, I'm going to get those few done first, but over Christmas I have more time to kind of like get the research done.
Just a quick one before we end the podcast. Have you thought of working with some overseas acts at all? Obviously, you work with a lot of UK acts, but would you consider working with guys from the US, South Africa, for example? Is that something that would interest you?
South Africa is where I think South Africa musically at the moment
it's booming.
There's so amazing stuff coming out of there. Yeah, African continent as a whole. Actually, we actually are. We've just actually produced 2 tracks for Ugandan artists.
Oh, really?
Randomly, my friend who's out in Uganda, and he's like, I'm in the studio, can you send some beats over? And he's picked 2 beats. So he's coming out.
Oh, wow.
I can't even remember his name, if I'm honest, but he's sick. Honestly, that's coming out next year. So yeah, I'm definitely always open. And then sometimes you get very stuck in your UK centric mode. But
yeah, sure.
Yeah,
I suppose it just opens you up to a new crowd, really, doesn't it? You know, right. Instead of just UK and US, it opens it up a little bit for you.
100%.
Yeah,
South Africa would be a dream. I'm going to go out there.
Cool. Well, Adam, listen, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really appreciate you taking the time, explaining your history, giving us some tips along the way. Really do appreciate it. Again, where can we find you? Where can we find Star.One? If you can give us out your links, where can people follow you?
Yeah, so everything we do is at Star.One UK. So that's spelled STARONE UK. So yeah, on Instagram, like I say, it's our main thing, but Twitter, everything apart from Snapchat, even on Clubhouse, you need to come join us on Clubhouse, and TikTok as well is where we're posting a lot of content. So yeah, come find us, and yeah, hope you like the music.
Fantastic, mate. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend, and we'll have to get you on the podcast again.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we'll do like an update in a few months' time or something.
Maybe when your next track out comes out in February, that'd probably be a good time, actually.
I like that, man. Thank you so much, man.
Cheers, mate. Take care. So guys, thanks so much for watching the video. And again, thanks to Adam. I really do appreciate Adam's time for actually letting me interview him. He's quite busy. And also his brother Joe as well. I'm sorry he couldn't be on this podcast as well, but we really do appreciate what all you guys have been doing. It's been fantastic. But guys, until the next time, we'll see you in the next video.